Hello, my fellow Coomers and waifu collectors. Here we are in Honkai Star Rail. All right. The 2.1 live stream did stream yesterday. I was a lot of hype around it. I did watch it. But I did fuck up my live stream and my mic was muted for like over half of it. So I decided to just take it down. But live and learn. Life happens. But I'm making this video now because I want to talk about Acheron and Aventurine, because I'm looking at Acheron and Aventurine and how they describe them in the 2.1 live stream, and I think people are a lot better than I think they're a lot better than what people are giving them credit for. Because this has been a thing for a while. I think people were saying Acheron is not good unless you have this or have that, and I don't know. Because okay, before I continue, keep in mind what I'm about to say is pre-release. I haven't looked at any leaks, so I don't know. Everything I'm going off is from what I'm seeing in the live stream, but I do have some theories as to why they're actually a lot better than what people are kind of giving them credit for, right? Because fear for Acheron, right? For Acheron specifically, one thing that they mentioned was that Acheron doesn't use energy. That's the first thing. She doesn't use energy because she charges her ultimate based on the amount of debuffs she gives to the enemies, right? And they made it very clear that it's all debuffs, right? No matter what it is, it's all debuffs, right? Now, they didn't say this in the live stream, but they said all debuffs. So immediately in my mind thinks to, does this apply to dots, right? Does this apply to dots? Because if this applies to dots, that means a couple things. Number one, if this applies to dots, Black Swan is probably her best in slot teammate. Because if this applies to dots, if this applies to Black Swan's Arcana specifically, right? If this applies to Black Swan's Arcana specifically, Black Swan's whole thing is that she's able to reapply and restack for her Arcana, right? And if this applies to getting charges for Acheron's ultimate, right? If this applies to getting to Acheron's ultimate, this could be absolutely broken. Because that means she can get her ultimate like every other turn if you have Black Swan. Like, she might be a better fit for Black Swan than Kafka if what I'm saying holds true, right? Keep in mind, this is just theories, right? These are just theories, right? Because this is like, I haven't looked at any leaks, so these are really just theories. But if that's the case, Black Swan could probably be Acheron's best in slot partner, along with like a debuffer, so like Pela or Silverwolf if you have them, and then like she can get her ultimate like essentially like every other turn. Like, honestly, if it's that fast. And if that's the case, you might actually want to run attack boots instead of speed boots on her. Because one of the bigger reasons why you'd run speed boots, right? Not the biggest reason. The biggest reason why you run speed boots is so that you can go multiple times in one cycle, right? So you can go like twice in one cycle, right? That's what the biggest reason why you run speed boots. But the bigger reason is for energy, right? Because the more turns you go, the more energy you get, because you can so that you can use your ultimate. But Acheron doesn't work like that. She doesn't use energy. She doesn't need energy. So that's why speed boots, like, might be a gray area for her depending on your team. That's why I think for Acheron, attack boots probably might be the way to go for her if you have Black Swan and if her Arcana restacking applies to her ultimate, right? That's why I'm saying this is theory. There's a lot of ifs. Right? But even in general, if you have Silverwolf, if you have Welts, I'm sure you guys have Pela. There has to be some. There might be people that don't have Pela because they probably just started, but like anyone who played in the last like 4 months, they probably have Pela, right? So I'm thinking, even then, right? If maybe if you only have Pela, then you might still run speed boots. Right? If you only have Pela, then maybe you might want to run speed boots. But if you have Welt, if you have Silverwolf, right? Especially if you have Black Swan, you might not need to run speed boots. Attack boots might be the way to go, right? That's why I'm thinking Acheron is like a lot better than people give her credit for. And the whole thing about you need her light cone, you don't need her light cone. I don't think you need her light cone, right? Obviously, I haven't seen what her light cone actually does. I haven't seen like what it actually does, like the stats it gives her. But in hindsight, I don't think you don't need anything in this game. I don't think you need a light cone. I think the reason people are saying that is because Acheron doesn't really have any options. Because if you don't have her light cone, your only option would be Welt's Lycone, and let's be real, I'm sure not a lot of people have that, especially if you're free to play. Welt's Lycone is probably an option, and then Good Nicely Well is probably like her only option. And then I think there was like one craftable Lycone for the new for Penacony that they released in 2.0. I think there's like one craftable Lycone. I think those are really your only options, right? If you don't have her Lycone, I think that's why we're saying you need her Lycone, because she doesn't really have any options, which she doesn't. But in terms of like damage wise, yeah, she'll probably lose out on like 20-30% damage, but you don't need that. You don't. This is just the thing. You don't need to do 500,000 damage. You need to do enough. That's the thing. You don't need to do all that damage. You need to do enough. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you clear it doesn't matter if you do the content one cycle faster or one cycle later. As long as you clear it, you're good, right? So that's my thing with Acheron, right? That's my thing with Acheron. Now the real nitty gritty is Aventurine, right? Now Aventurine, I'm be real, I have mixed feelings about this dude. He looks badass, but he sounds like he touches kids. I don't know. It's weird for me. I like he looks cool. I like the design, but he looks like he went to prison for tax evasion. You know what I mean? That's my feeling for Aventurine. But we're not talking about how he looks. We're talking about his kit. All right, now his kit. Once again, theories, but this is a little bit more concrete because this is coming from what I've seen in the live stream. So for Aventurine, he might be, in terms of like self-sustaining doing damage, he might be the best solo sustainer, right? In terms of damage, well, I mean, yeah, in terms of damage, he's probably the best solo sustainer in the entire game, right? In terms of damage, and I'll explain why in a second, right? Now the whole thing with Aventurine is he applies a shield, right? And when his allies get hit with the shield, it charges his follow-up attack. And then when he does a follow-up attack, it stacks the shield, right? It stacks the shield. So honestly, with Aventurine, if everything goes well, right, you essentially have an infinite shield because he can constantly restack it, right? But here's the thing, right? I'm gonna show a clip right here. I'm gonna show a clip. I might have to zoom in on it. Right? If you look real close, look at the counter. Look at the counter. Did you see that? You saw that? His follow-up attack over caps. That's the biggest thing. His follow-up attack over caps. So that means if you started at 6, and then the enemy does an AoE attack and 3 of your opponents get hit, or 3 of your allies get hit, it'll cap at 9, do the follow-up attack, and start at 2. And that means you only need 5 more stacks to do the follow-up attack again. That is actually broken. That's actually insane. Because if you're fighting a whole horde like this, right, or if you're in pure fiction, right, or even MOC, where you have, because MOC has multiple enemies, you could do the follow-up attack like really fucking often, right? So I talked about this earlier while I was watching the live stream. I talked about this while I was watching the live stream. If they don't fuck him up, right? If they don't fuck him up and pull a March 7th, right? Where you see with March 7th, right? Her damage scaled on attack and then her shield scaled on defense. So you have to pick one or the other. You couldn't really do both. You have to pick one or the other. If his damage scales on defense, he can dish out some serious fucking damage. Like he could dish out some crazy damage with his follow-up attack, with the follow-up attack set. Like he could do some insane damage. And it's wild to me, because I think at least off the top of my head, there's no other there's no other solo sustain that can dish out really good damage. Like Luocha, I mean Luocha skills off attack, but even then I don't think he does decent damage. Huohua doesn't, Bailu doesn't, Fu Xuan doesn't. Like off the top of my head, I can't think of any solo sustain that actually deals a lot of damage. So he could potentially be a solo sustain that could double as a sub DPS. So you can run with like an Aventurine Topaz team. An Aventurine Topaz team. That could go crazy. Aventurine Topaz Dr. Ratio with a Ruan Mei. That sounds like a cracked team. That sounds insane. Like Aventurine, I didn't like this guy. I still don't. I'm still gonna skip him. I just really don't like this guy. But for the people who care about meta, damage, whatever, this guy honestly, he might be more of a must pull than Acheron. He might be for meta people, or like for for people who care about damage, all that crap, you know, trying to fix your account, obviously the number one thing is pull for who you want and pull for who you jack off to. But I think for, you know, people who care about the damage and all that, I think Acheron, or not Acheron, Aventurine might be better for your Stellar Jade than Acheron, at least in my opinion. Like numbers wise, damage wise, Aventurine, investment wise, Aventurine might be a better pick than Acheron. But hey, that's just my opinion. These are just some little quick theories I came up with after watching the live stream. I could be wrong. Once again, this is pre-release. No, this is before their kits have been officially released. No leaks, no nothing. I'm just going based off what I'm seeing from the live stream and just some theories. All right, so this is some thoughts I had, and yeah, if these are true, Acheron is honestly, I don't see why people are saying Acheron is bad. I don't really agree with that. And then Aventurine, he's just cracked. I just hate the fact that he sounds like he sort of fucking. I just hate the fact that he sounds like he gets off to lolly porn.